There is no question that visually, Elf Pets A Fox Cub's Christmas Tale is absolutely stunning, and the overall message of hope is beautiful, but the narrative is a mess. And Fox Cubs, yes, they feature, and they're the most gorgeous things ever, and I will talk about them, but it's not really a film about them, and it's a bit misleading, and honestly, the narrative's just a mess. This is against the backdrop of the Northern Lights, which gives us even more gorgeous animation. And I have to say, even when the narrative was just chaotic and disorderly and not making that much sense one scene to the next, it was just so beautiful to look at that I kind of found myself still mesmerized by it. And it is absolutely stunning to look at. And it's about this young boy who just wants his mother home for Christmas, but it's possible she might not be able to come home. He's with his grandmother, they're getting ready for Christmas, baking cookies, turning the Christmas lights on. It's all really lovely and festive. And I have to say, credit where it's due, it is very, very festive. It does put me in the mood for Christmas, bearing in mind it's July when I'm watching this. And I just was completely absorbed in the atmosphere. And Santa delivers this message of hope. And there's this beautiful quote, actually. I wrote it down. I think I wrote it word for word. And it is as follows: "Not every wish for Christmas Day joy involves wrapping or presents or even a toy." I thought that was lovely. And it's a really nice message that shows that, not everybody, including children, their Christmas wish might not be the latest, games console or high gadget toy or whatever. Obviously, a lot of children get a bad reputation around Christmas as being greedy, but there are some children like the boy in this who just want their parents home. And I think it's a nice message, and the elves feature a little bit, but really not that prominently. And the fox cubs are, oh my goodness, I mean, they are beautiful. They definitely have a tiny role to play in this one, but it's not what I would call a fox cubs Christmas tale. It absolutely isn't. Um, in fact, the narrative and the messages could have completely worked without the fox cubs. So honestly, I feel like they were just trying to use that to bring in a sense of cuteness, because these little Arctic foxes are, I mean, I won't lie, they're one of the cutest things I've ever seen. And they're definitely leaning in on that to advertise this as a cute little animal film at Christmas with these gorgeous fluffy Arctic foxes. Well, then why wait for 20 minutes until you feature them heavily? Like, it made no sense. The pacing was appalling. The development of the narrative was deplorable. One scene to the next, it was completely disjointed. Nothing flowed very well at all. So, as a narrative, it's actually terrible. It's actually horrific. And thankfully, it's aimed at younger children who might not pick up on how appallingly written it is. But, or at least appallingly edited. Each scene on its own is not bad. The dialogue between characters is not bad. The messages are very clear and easy to understand. Each scene is perhaps well written in its own way. But when you put them together as one narrative, it falls flat. And it's not very good at all. And I don't know, maybe the narrative made more sense before it was cut up, because, most scripts last longer than the final version so that you have room to play with things and you can remove things to cut it down to the appropriate time. Maybe it made more sense and then they had to condense it and they lost something. I don't know. But watching it, it just felt forced. It didn't make any sense. And again, really young children watching it might not pick up on that. They might just look at the gorgeous animation, and ultimately, as long as they get the main message, that's all that really counts. But I'm generally narrative driven. I'm a writer. If I wrote this, I wouldn't be pleased with myself. But again, that's not each scene. It has good components. But whenever it moved on to the next scene, I thought, okay, well, that wasn't a natural progression. That feels like it's part of a different film. And where on earth are the Arctic foxes? So yeah, it's not without its problems. But I cannot get over how gorgeous the actual animation quality is. So it's definitely up and down. It's worth watching for the animation, for the little boy, who I think is a really lovely protagonist, and for the overall message. But if you're looking for a well-constructed narrative, I'd advise you to look elsewhere.